Hey folks, let's start today's freaky conversation with, you know, basically a recipe for good lobster sauce. Essentially, you kind of want to get a few sticks of butter, some cloves of garlic, some small shallots that you can mince for the sauce, and then you want to squeeze in some, you know, fresh lemon juice, maybe add a little of a zest from the rind, light sprinkle of salt, dash of smaller dash of cayenne pepper for spice, and then maybe some chopped parsley. Um, I think Cortney was the one who got me all craving fresh lobster, and I thought it was appropriate because I do like lobster. I may not like uh, the I guess what how we call it you know well, no, I do kind of like the cyclic growth pattern associated with lobsters shedding their shells and things like that. That was all really cool. But I will say this, I really do love cooked lobster. And sharing it with a special somebody, I can in the right mood and setting, where you basically enjoy feeding each other little tastes and bits is quite the memory distraction. Let's just say that your imagination can go wild just to help people tee it up. Just imagine doing this as lovers, and of course, there's going to be a drip, and with drips come kisses, and from there you just kind of go with the flow. Anyway, that said, let's try to get this show on the road. I don't know how this is going to play out. I I am feeling more vocally present today, um, and I know there's a lot going on in my life, as Paul, I guess. But I think there's a message, a bigger message for collective here, and I don't know whether uh, Zero or the old gray wolf or Sonata are going to chime in, but let's see where this goes. Since it's Thanksgiving in the States, I started my journey today, really thinking about what to manifest in terms of abundance. And then it led to a whole series of conversations where, deep within myself, I started saying, hey, let's is there some sort of, source inspired wisdom that could come about and help everybody here because it's the calculus of abundance changes quite dramatically when you deal with things from less open-ended infinite spaces to actually constrained spaces. And it's probably about to get complicated, and I'm noticing, uh, hang on, something's going, okay, being, okay, so let's switch this here. Let's just switch to a 5D context. And may not make sense to people. I'm not sure it's going to make sense to Paul here very soon. But the idea of abundance is complicated for humans, and it's really because the dimensions that we live in, or you live in, the dimensions you live in are many, and the constraints you live within, in terms of time and experience, kind of force certain things to happen in a pseudo cause and effect way. But that doesn't necessarily limit y'all to a life of non-abundance. Um, Consider this. If if Paul were to consider um, the trade-offs in life, starting all over again, and we all know we'll get to live multiple lifetimes and experience things and deal with all those cycles, but that's only part of the point. Um, when you have a life cycle, you'll make certain choices, and the trade-off on abundance will come in various formats. But one of the things that we were trying to convey to Paul was that the quietest trade on earth is basically where love, lust, and money meet. And the challenge for everyone as you experience your life and you choose that experience, right, is that, in the early days, um, you're really dealing with sort of uh, lust versus love. And lust is cheap and abundant. And while love is expensive and vanishingly rare, uh, the excitement that lust offers, the fireworks for a weekend, are memorable, but love provides comfort and companionship, on every quiet morning. And so what's happening to humans is you can sort of relate to relationships as fleeting, and by the various behaviors and jaded perspectives you see all around you. But there's another story here. There's a hidden story. Consider that relationships are an accelerant to gathering abundance. Um, and I'm no judging here. I mean, you know, Paul is the guy. He loves lust just as well as the next man or woman, right? But the challenge is there are trade-offs, and so um, and the path to abundance is is dependent upon your definition of what abundance is. And abundance is not, can be as simple as the number in your bank account, but that's not really where we're going in this 5D way of living. So let's look at something a little different. Um, if you if you wanted to consider um, the impact of going it alone versus partnering up with somebody to share the journey and collaborate on the accumulation of abundance, not only monetarily but also in terms of life's daily living. Um, it might surprise you to know that some things are actually more rare than the billionaires on Earth. I think what you would be interested to learn is that, for most people on the planet to get to, and I mean the planet here, we're not trying to talk. I mean, we could argue the nuances between, affluent cultures and continents, let's say, etc. But in general, humans just have to realize that the game of abundance is somewhat mathematical in that you can count things, and that leads you to infinity, and so the question always begs itself. So let's say you have infinite dollars. Okay, what does that mean, right? And so the quest for meaning isn't defined by that number or that that amount. What happens is you convert that infinity into meaning by how you choose to share it. And sharing alone is rather hard, although it is conceivable because we all know we have several versions of self that we manage within ourself, with in our present reality as well as without ourself. And then it's in the connection to a partner that things get really, really interesting, because if you truly want to share with somebody, then that means the relationship game becomes far more valuable. And that relationship game is valuable because, unlike the accumulation of stuff, which has an open-ended, infinite outcome, the relationship, at least one that's living, right? And we'll just let's leave afterlife and pre-life aside for now. Let's just talk about just living your time here on Earth. And when you do that, it's constrained. And so what happens is, as you acquire relationships in your life, and if you manage to find one where you can collaborate for long periods of time, stretches of time like, you know, 7, 25, 25 or more years, I mean, you can actually create some situations that are far more rare than being a billionaire, or having, actually not just a billionaire, but being a billionaire or more. I mean, there's only a few thousand of those on the planet, and there's 8.5 or so billion people on the planet. So, billionaires are pretty rare. And what's what happens when you look at the statistics is, let's say you have a hypothetical couple that has slept in the same bed together for 40 years and has a net worth of $1 million. And what you'll find is those couples are more rare than billionaires. And so if people are seeking abundance, one of the accelerants you can use is to actually find a way to find a partner that can help you amplify your probability of being rare. And in this analogy, being rare is defined, is sort of a, defined may be the wrong word. What's Paul looking for? Uh, Defined is, if rarity is reflective of abundance, right? Then you may find that the path to abundance is greatly accelerated by deep, long-lasting relationships. And these are hard. There's no doubt about it. These are hard. Um, and then, they're not required either. I mean, you can go lone wolf on it if you want. I mean, that works too. But you're still going to have to engage somebody to acquire to acquire